Welcome, beloveds, back to the Liberation Wisdom Podcast. I'm Kayla Moore, your host. I am a feminine liberation coach and priestess in training. I go by she, her, hers pronouns. And today, I want to talk to you about how the patriarchy is the problem. I know that for a lot of us, this is like, yes, we know. But oftentimes, this conversation, I don't think goes deep enough. We don't actually really explain what the patriarchy is, why it's the problem, and how we can collectively come together against it and really be able to cast a vision for what we want this future to look like. So, before we dive in, I wanted to let you know about an upcoming offer that I have. It is an in-person offer in Gig Harbor, Washington at a beautiful space called A Touch of Matriarchy. It is such a wonderful gathering space that I'm so blessed to have been able to come across and be able to book for this event. It will be Sunday, April 12th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And this event is called the Sacred Fire Circle. This is an alchemy circle where we are no longer stuffing down our rage and our grief that we have about the state of the world, or just as we know, as within, so without. So maybe there's a lot of turmoil also going on in our lives that we have a lot of grief and rage around. This is a space where you no longer have to deal with that alone. This is bridging both my love of activism and my love of holding space and actually allowing for us to say how we are thinking and feeling and then actually feel those emotions. We are going to move through those emotions through dance and through song. I will be singing some. I will invite anyone who wants to participate in singing to join me if that's something that you are willing and wanting to do. That is not required, but that is also one of my specialties that I am a singer. So I will be bringing in song. We will be dancing to music. We will be moving the rage and the grief through our bodies and alchemizing it into joy and pleasure so that we can then, from that place and that frequency together, cast a vision for what we want in our lives going forward and in the world going forward. This has actually been documented, unbeknownst to me, actually. Recently, that one of the astrologers that I listen to has been talking about how this is actually one of the best ways that we can help the collective consciousness right now is by actually alchemizing how we are feeling into joy and pleasure through song and dance. It's like pretty on the nose for what I came up with before I even had heard this. And then casting our vision from that space. We can't cast a vision and manifest what we want from a place of fear and contraction and feeling the heaviness of everything going on in the world right now. We have to move through it and get to a place of joy and pleasure in order to then really send that love and that new vision into our collective consciousness and into the world and into the cosmos. So I'm really, really excited for this. I think this is really on the path of where I'm at. We will be doing a sharing circle in the beginning. We'll be doing some grounding, really getting into our bodies first. Then we'll have time to actually voice and talk about the things that we have anger and grief around or rage and grief around. We will be able to witness each other in that and we'll be able to burn those away in a very literal way. And then we'll be able to actually move those emotions through our body, again, through dance, through song, and then again, through a transformation, through dance and song, we get to then collectively bring that grief and that sorrow and that rage and anger into joy and pleasure together. And then we will collectively cast that vision together and then come to a close with each other on how that felt, what that vision looked like for everyone, and how we can take an element of that into our lives and continue to be a beacon of light and a beacon of love for the people around us until the next circle, if that's something that you want to do. I hope to do this monthly in person. And as soon as I get my feet wet with it in person and really see how it goes, then I want to transform it into something that can be done online as well. I still want to do in person because I think that it's really special and really just you can't get anything more special than being actually in person. But it does also limit the amount of people that can be there. So I want to be able to open it up as well if there is an expression of excitement and wanting to be a part of this to do it online as well. So I plan to do my first at least 1 to 2 in person and then create something that is online that everybody can experience together as well. So stay tuned for that if you are not in the local area where you can come in person. But if you are, I would be so excited to see you and to hold you and really transform each other in that space. And the link will be down in the show notes. All right, let's talk about the patriarchy. So, if you are just completely new to what is the patriarchy, so the patriarchy, so many people conflate this with essentially women hating on men and men like being the ones that get everything in the patriarchy. That is actually not accurate. The patriarchy is a system. It is a system of governance and how we have chosen to organize our society. It is also like a system of values of what we value in this society, what we give our time, energy, effort, and resources to versus what we don't. And we have not always lived in a patriarchy. We have only had a patriarchy for the last around like 5-ish thousand years. And at least I will say, I have not actually done my full due diligence and like going and reading history texts myself. From the information that I have gathered through my sacred feminine training, is that patriarchy came about during the Roman Empire when Constantine was attempting to take over. And a lot of the patriarchal structures came from them using the Bible, which actually had a lot more women and equal footing for people and more of a vision and message of love and light. They kind of stripped some of those things out and reworded some things and made it so that the Bible was actually a tool to control the people. That it was a way for them to believe in something again, have a concrete set of values that was shared by everyone, that then was a tool for them to control the people in the way that they wanted to, and to create a society where men were valued and given more privilege than women. And obviously, we know the interconnections of all of that, that the skin color that you had also mattered as time went on. That, the darker your skin was, the less valued you were as well. And so it's always been like white men and then any other skin color of man, and then white women, and then any other skin color of women, with typically Black women being at the very bottom. So there has been a historical shift in the last 5,000 years to the values of hierarchy, to power over, controlling over something, trying to dominate, trying to hoard resources. It's a lot of scarcity. that only I can kind of pursue my own wants and needs. And if I get something, then it's taking something away from someone else. So a zero sum game. This is how our society has operated for the last handful, thousands of years. Before that, we had what was called more of a matriarchal society. And also, people sometimes think, well, matriarchy just means the opposite of patriarchy, where then women are on top and men are on the bottom. And that's not it at all. Matriarchy is not opposite in that we just switch it, but it's completely opposite in that it is different. It is about community. Instead of top down hierarchy, we are coming together in a circle. We are coming together in a horizontal space where we are all seen as on the same playing field and of equal value. It is also centered more around families, women, and children, that our society actually would value women and children at the center. And again, that doesn't mean that men don't have a role in society and women are just here up on a pedestal. It means that we would invest, again, our time, our energy, our resources into a society that was built to support women and children, that we would have probably universal healthcare, free healthcare. We would have childcare. We would have communities that were built so that families easily helped each other and like traded resources and provided things for each other, easily became, as close as family members sometimes, can easily help each other with the children. The men would be in a place where they could, you know, actually help sustain life instead of actively harming it and killing life on our planet. Men weren't inherently meant to just like work outside the home, and women were meant to stay home. That is a relatively new concept that the patriarchy created. I firmly believe that the men's job was to be the source of safety. And again, we all have sacred feminine energy and sacred masculine energy, or divine feminine, divine masculine energy. And so I don't think any one person is just one thing or another. But I do think that men's role would have been more in the leadership of helping to protect life through not just like shooting things with guns, but actually, again, making decisions with the women and creating safe spaces and protecting life, protecting all life, protecting plants, animals, humans. Again, not through force, not through conquering, not through being the dominant one, but through stewardship and through devotion and through having a very strong understanding of themselves and their own core beliefs and worth in themselves. And I think that almost at the root is what I believe is extremely degraded in society right now, is that men especially, but honestly, I don't think anyone really has a good sense of themselves and who they are. We have been trained, especially since like the Industrial Revolution, to be cogs in a system, to produce, to work and work and work and work to make the system work, not for us, but for the people at the top. And the system is not designed to benefit us. It is actually designed to benefit the people at the top. This was their design from the beginning. And I think we are just now catching up to the fact that this was never meant to serve us. This was never meant to be something that we were all going to be fulfilled and feel connected and love and pleasure and joy in. because it's based on extraction. It's based on power and control. It's based on not seeing human beings as human and just taking and taking and taking. And so we have to get back to a place of seeing human beings as full human beings. And so this leads me to speaking about what I really think is important. So much of the patriarchy, and especially right now, especially when I personally believe, based on all the things that I'm hearing and seeing, based on the astrology, based on what a lot of channelers of angels and other galactic entities are saying, based on the prophecies that have come about this time, I firmly believe that we are at the end, that we have completed a cycle, and this is the end of patriarchy as we know it, or really altogether, I would say. But as I'm sure if you're in my sphere, you have seen a lot of other creators say what this looks like and that we're kind of in the extinction bubble. And when we are in this space where the patriarchy is crumbling and they know it, they are trying to hold on for dear life and are getting more erratic as, the wheels are coming off the cart and things are unraveling. As this collapse is happening, they are sowing more and more and more division. We have seen this. I think the rise of Trump really prophesized this. And, I think this collapse has been happening for a while, but obviously we're very much in, in the final stages of the collapse now. And so the division has been being sowed. That is a hallmark of the patriarchy, is sowing division so that we are always constantly comparing ourselves to each other and fighting each other instead of fighting the system. They want us to be fearful. They want us to think that there is another reason for why we are feeling the pain, the agony, the rage, the contempt that we are feeling. That it's not their fault, it's somebody else's fault. It's the immigrant's fault. It's the, neighbor down the street's fault. It's anything else. It's the scapegoat that they can serve up to you so that you are not looking at the system itself. And the sad part is that nobody benefits in the system, not even the people at the top. They might be getting the money, and that might feel slightly good, but that's why greed is greed. That's why they continue to want more and more and more, is because no matter how much money they get, it's never going to fill the void that they feel inside of themselves. It's never going to make them feel truly loved. It's never going to make them feel joy and pleasure. It might be fun for a moment to know that you have that much money, but as soon as they get that much, then they want more. And it's never going to be fulfilling in the way that they want it to be, in the way that we can actually build in our communities. Everybody, we are human beings. Again, we are not outside of the ecosystem of Earth. We are mammals. We are actually as dependent on the earth as all the animals that we think we are above. Of course, we have more capacities than a lot of the animals in terms of our brain and our abilities to create, but we are just as dependent on the earth and on animals. The whole thing is an ecosystem, whether we eat animals or not. Like, everything has a part to play in our ecosystem. My son is a big fan of The Lion King, and it really is the circle of life. Everything is connected, and we have to be able to remember that. So, really, what I want you to take away from this is that it is so important that we start to see the humanity in each other again. And this is really where the priestess part is coming from. We have to be able to find that love and that groundedness and that leadership of I am not going to stoop to their level. We are not fighting fire with fire. We are fighting corruption and greed with love. And I've really seen this grow in the movement of protest and how we are fighting back. Really, at the beginning of 2025, I think a lot of people were angry. I think we're all still angry, but we were fighting more from a place of anger, from a place of we have to fight fire with fire. And I get it. I totally get it. And we've also been taught in a patriarchal structure that fighting fire with fire is the best way to go. You don't want to bring a knife to a gunfight. Like, we want to bring the bigger guns to the gunfight. But actually, the bigger guns here is love. Love is how we move through the world and how we show them that, again, I'm going to show my pop culture reference as a millennial. There's a line in Harry Potter where Harry is going up against Voldemort. And he says, I actually pity you. I actually feel sorry for you because you will never know love. You will never know what it feels like to be loved by friends, by family. You will never understand the power that love truly has. And when we come together as a community, when we stop seeing each other as the enemy and start trying to see the humanity in each other, we start to form the circle that we all need. We start to link arm in arm, band together, and say, no more. We're stepping outside of this system and we are demanding that it changes. Not only are we demanding that it changes in terms of like our political system changes, we elect people that will actually listen to the people and do things that are good for the working people, but we are living it. We are creating this internal world of love and light and casting that vision again from a place of joy and pleasure, and then showing the world that this is what it looks like by building that community garden, by showing up to whatever event and offering your services, by saying hi to your neighbor every day and being someone that people actually know on your street, by smiling at someone at the grocery store. Little acts of kindness and little acts of love in a world that is so dark right now shows people that it's still okay to be human. It's still okay to live from a place of love and light instead of greed, anger, scarcity, fear. And I mean, anyone that's listening to this is probably going to be more on the left like I am. I'm not going to hide what my political affiliation is. I am very much a democratic socialist that totally wants everyone to have all their basic needs met at all times. And the more that we can see the humanity in people that are not like us, I know we've talked about, I mean, the lexicon, the collective consciousness has talked about this since the first Trump administration. But I really do feel like even if we're not, sitting down and really having those hard, heart to heart conversations where you're like, how am I ever going to get my aunt to, stop calling somebody the N word and actually see my point of view? I think if we can start to see the humanity in people and understand, like, where did that come from? Why are they like this? And again, being able to see it from a patriarchal lens of they grew up in this system. They grew up being groomed and told these stories over and over and over again of what this world looks like, what their life looks like, what their little slice of their community is supposed to be and look like, and what the expectations are. And if they haven't seen past that yet, that's their whole worldview. But I do think at the core of everyone, like we all want to be seen. We all want to be heard. We all want to be appreciated and loved. There's no human being on this earth that doesn't want those things. We all want to feel like we are part of a community. We all want to feel like we are part of the in group, that we are in a society that loves and cares for us. And a lot of people, I mean, there are some sick and deranged people out there. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. I'm not going to, defend actions of Nazis and, Donald Trump, his followers. I'm not defending their actions, but even Trump, I loved his niece, I believe, who is also a psychotherapist, Mary Trump, has talked about his upbringing. And as a therapist, historically a therapist, I see the threads. I think he was extremely traumatized as a child. And the worldview of his family is like beyond anything that I can comprehend. And I think the wounding that he has is so vast and so deep that he has been trying to fill with all the wrong things his entire life. And again, that does not take away from any of the things that he has done. And this love and compassion is not about excusing behavior. It is saying, this is absolutely not how we want to treat human beings whatsoever. And I do think that there needs to be justice served. Does that mean locking them up and putting them away? Not sure. I'm I'm also against like incarceration in general. Do I want Trump just like out free? Not really. There's a lot of conflicting things around like what are the next steps of how we get justice. I do think that a lot of these people, if we just like stripped them of their money, like that would be justice enough if we could take away their fortunes and say we are giving it to the people as reparations for all that you have done to them. I think that would be great. I think we need to do that to the oil and gas companies for continuously plunging us into plastic hell and creating a world where we have poisoned drinking water, poisoned food, poisoned clothes, poisoned everything in our houses. Like we are living in unhabitable environments for human beings, and it's creating so many health issues for myself included, my son included. My mama bear gets activated when I talk about this because I'm so fucking enraged that people are putting profit over children. And I know that's happening in so many different ways, but that one is close to home for me. And so I think my version of justice is stripping all these people from their fortunes and redistributing it to everyone in the world, but especially in America. That, giving the trillions of dollars back to the people that have been funneled up to the top over the last like 50-ish years would be great, in my opinion. So the point is that we need to be able to see the humanity and the through threads of how we got here. And again, that doesn't mean that we need to like everyone. That doesn't mean that we need to love everyone. That doesn't mean that we need to come into a kumbaya circle with everyone, but being able to see the humanity in everyone and seeing everyone as another human being, that we aren't just gonna, again, like take our gun and shoot back. We're not doing an eye for an eye. We're actually seeing each other as human beings and saying, no, we are not acting like that. We are not going to war to solve our problems. We are not fighting fire with fire to solve our problems. We are fighting with love. So, if you want to fight with love, there's a great opportunity tomorrow. Tomorrow is the third No King's Day protest, and I will be out in my local community in Gig Harbor, Washington. I encourage you to go online and find any protest that is in your neighborhood. There's more protests than there ever has been. I 100% guarantee that you can find something that is within, you know, I would say 30 minutes, even an hour. Hopefully, not even an hour. Hopefully, there's something closer to you. Even in rural areas, there are protests happening. So go online if you haven't already, find something in your local area. These protests, again, are coming from a place of love. They are coming from a place of light. They are fun. They are family friendly. Obviously, like, be as risk averse as you are comfortable being. So far, I have not seen or experienced any violence, the protests that I've gone to, but the last one was in October. It's been a while since we've had one. A lot has happened since then. I haven't seen any reports yet of people being anxious around there being some type of retaliation. It's good to be, aware and do all the safety protocols that are normally advised when going to a protest. But honestly, if it's anything like the ones that I have been to so far, they're so joyful. It's really like coming together with all your neighbors that hate the things that you hate and love the things that you love, on various degrees. I'm sure there's a wide variety of differences and what we believe and don't believe in. But in terms of like fighting for democracy versus autocracy, we align on those things. So that's good. And I mean, so many people, I just turn to the people next to me and say hi, and we end up chatting. And so many people are doing amazing things already outside of just these protests. I've met a woman that was working with a group that helps people that are exiting detention centers get to where they need to go because they just dump people on the street when they are being released from a detention center and they don't have any way or transportation or resources to get home, and sometimes home could be like a couple hours away or it could be in a different state. And so this organization helps those people get the resources that they need to get home or get to somewhere where they're safe and that they can then, get more resources to get home. So there's just amazing people doing amazing work all over the place, and if you look for it and are, showing up to community events like this and meeting people there, it gives you so much more hope and so much more joy and so much pleasure. There's been a huge movement. I wish I've gotten deeper into it, but there's been a huge movement to teach people songs for protests. So I'm really hoping that there's someone out there that's leading some songs because that's my jam. That's really how I want to protest, is just by singing. So there's, tons of people that are singing and dancing and using music as a form of protest and really just standing in love and silliness and joy. And that's how we are going to create the world that we want. So, with that, thank you so much for listening. If you want to stay in my orbit, please go down and click the link to subscribe to my newsletter. I send those out on the new and full moon each month, and that's a great way for you to stay connected to me, to learn more about just the things that I'm going through in my own life and how I connect that to the liberation wisdom and joy and pleasure that I'm trying to help people access within themselves. And I always give a little bit of a sprinkle of the energy and the astrology of that moon. I give you some journal prompts to think about for yourself if that's something that you like to do. And it's definitely a great way to stay in my orbit for all the new offerings that I'm bringing to you as well. So, thank you so much for listening to this. I hope you go out to a protest tomorrow and always choose love. Take care, all.